afternoon, everybody, and welcome to 7 Saturday afternoon racing, Royal Randwick and Moonee Valley. And well, at Royal Randwick, the Concord Stakes, the Speed Machines, Nature Skip and Guitra, 1,000 metres, group through 3, and well, we get to the Valley, and it's the Cox Plate qualifier day. There's a good 4, there's a couple of group 2s, but if you win the Feehan, you get a golden ticket into the Cox Plate, and that's what Surprise Baby is trying to do. Can Humidor win and get to another Cox Plate, a second and a third? His results in the Cox Plate so far. Welcome to you all. Hopefully we can find a winner for you at Randwick or at Moonee Valley as we introduce a Group 1 winning trainer twice, Henry Dwyer. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Haim.
It looks as though the good horses are stepping out and ready to race.
Yeah, well, as is the case at this time of year, you often get horses that are fit versus horses that are coming in from the paddock that are better horses, but the challenge is lining up where they sit, so a lot to be revealed from today's racing.
The menu is exciting. There's Group 2s in both states. The Group 3, the Speed Machines in the Concord and the Atlantic Jewel Stakes, is a ripper.
Certainly is. We see the fillies there, and interesting.
Be watching Plate of Origin on 7 for the nightly code word for your chance to win.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to 7 Saturday afternoon racing, Royal Randwick and Moonee Valley. And well, at Royal Randwick, the Concord Stakes, the Speed Machines, Nature Skip and Guitra, 1,000 metres, group through 3, and well, we get to the Valley, and it's the Cox Plate qualifier day. There's a good 4, there's a couple of group 2s, but if you win the Feehan, you get a golden ticket into the Cox Plate, and that's what Surprise Baby is trying to do. Can Humidor win and get to another Cox Plate, a second and a third? His results in the Cox Plate so far. Welcome to you all. Hopefully we can find a winner for you at Randwick or at Moonee Valley as we introduce a Group 1 winning trainer twice, Henry Dwyer. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Haim.
It looks as though the good horses are stepping out and ready to race.
Yeah, well, as is the case at this time of year, you often get horses that are fit versus horses that are coming in from the paddock that are better horses, but the challenge is lining up where they sit, so a lot to be revealed from today's racing. The
menu is exciting. There's Group 2s in both states. The Group 3, the Speed Machines in the Concord and the Atlantic Jewel Stakes, is a ripper.
Certainly is. We see the fillies there, and interesting to see the fillies go around in the Furious. Once again, we're trying to measure up Sydney versus Melbourne, so there's a lot to be decided today that sort of paves the way for the next sort of 6 weeks.
Absolutely. Let's welcome in Bruce McAvaney and Katie Mallion. Katie, the Group 1 winning jockey, and Bruce, the captain of the team. Bruce, the best horses are stepping out in Melbourne and Sydney today.
Yes, Heyman, as Henry mentioned, I mean, a lot of horses coming back from spells, others are race fit. I've picked out 4 horses today in particular that are coming back from spells. It's the great unknown. Does Hanseatic make the leap from a top-class 2-year-old to a 3-year-old? We might find out that today. Colette went from a Class 1 to an Oaks. Can she make the grade as a 4-year-old mare? And what about Finch, this beautiful bold horse on a Cups trail again, as is Surprise Baby? He won the Adelaide Cup after only 5 starts. He's quite remarkable. It was his 6th start. And, of course, we know what sort of a race he put in at Flemington. So they're 4 of the horses amongst many, Haim, I'm looking forward to.
It is a fabulous day as we welcome you back, Katie. Katie, James McDonald's got a wonderful book of rides at Randwick. Has he got the best of them, or did you choose another jockey?
Well, I've been playing him down, Haim, so I just can't do it anymore because he's so far in front in the premiership, only a month in and he's 8 winners in front. So, look, he's got the promising Nature Strip, of course, and he's going to light up the track in a couple of hours' time in the Concord. I want to mention Rachel King. She is riding unbelievably at the moment. She took out the 2 feature races at Wyong yesterday, and look, she's riding with such confidence. So she's got the promising Raisin Dietra and Graceful Glamour, one of her favourite horses. But all of these boys and girls, they've got great little rides, and I'm sure that they'll be looking to ride a winner.
Katie, a quick focus on the Concord, the 1,000-metre dash.
Well, he's just so hard to go past on his trials, isn't he? But he is vulnerable first up. But if he is, this guy, Guitra, he is going to get over the top of him because he is a really, really good sprinter. But it's really exciting.
First up, he's 3 wins and 2 seconds from 5 first up performances. Guitra in the distance, 6 wins and a second from 7. So really exciting as we get to Lizzie Jelfs at Royal Randwick.
Welcome back to Royal Randwick for spring racing, and it is a lovely 22 degrees day. Looking at this track, it's rated a soft 5. I had a chat with Michael Wood, the track manager, and unfortunately in the week they had to put 4 mils of irrigation on the track due to the really hot temperatures throughout the week. We also had 8 mils of rain over 15 hours, so it's really pushed it into that soft 5 range. Do I think we're going to get an upgrade? Well, I wouldn't be surprised. As I said, the breeze is really strong, and I do also think that's going to enable those horses who are up on speed in those sprint races. Looking at the rail position, it's out at the 6 metre mark. The last time we raced here 2 weeks ago, it was at the True. 6 metres today, back to the True in 2 weeks' time for George Mayne's Stakes Day. What am I most looking forward to? Well, there's great racing throughout the day. The Furious Stakes for the 3-year-olds, the Chelmsford for the Stayers, and of course the clash of the world's best sprinters in the Concord Stakes. Can't wait for a fantastic day.
It should be a ripper, Lizzie. Soft 5 possible upgrade. Two men that have got big jobs are Maddie Hill and Darren Flindell.
Well, Hamish, I think it's about Surprise Baby. I think he's the theme of the day. I really do believe that this horse can win the Melbourne Cup. And I know we're in September. We're a fair way away. But if you take Paul Prushka's words for it, this horse is going great guns and will qualify for the Cox Plate. Will firm in after today for the Cox Plate and will attempt the Cox Plate Melbourne Cup double. He's achieved so much in the early part of his career from only 11 starts. I think he's the X-Factor horse. And how good's the McEwen today too? They're going to go ballistic in that, and I'm really looking forward to that. Talking about going ballistic, the track record up in Sydney might be in danger today with Nature Strip and Guitra, and calling the action there, here's Darren Flindell.
Well, thanks, Matt. It's going to be a cracking day here in Sydney, and I know a lot are looking forward to seeing Nature Strip back in the Concord. He's going off a short prize favourite as the stepping stone towards the Everest. But the race I'm most keyed up about today is the Tramway. What a nice lineup here. We've got Colette not being handled by Glenn Boss today. It's very interesting that Glenn Boss has jumped off her, bearing in mind he rode her in a gallop last week, and he's going to ride the New Zealander Dragon Leap, who's here for a spring campaign, and the ultimate goal being the Golden Eagle. And after that, I believe Dragon Leap will be off to Hong Kong. Reloaded has been trialling the House Down and also has an outstanding chance today in the Tramway. If you're looking for a good thing on the card today, keep your powder dry in the last ice bath.
Glenn Boss on board. Darren, thank you. Well, Guichar was enormous in the Concord Stakes, 0.09 off the 1,000-metre record at Randwick. The Furious Stakes and the Chelmsford Stakes and the Tramway Stakes all ahead at Randwick. There's a bit of a delay here at Moonee Valley. Dwayne Dunn has been taken to hospital, but just a reminder, the Feehan Stakes, it is a golden ticket into the Cox Plate.
So this is equine immortality, the mighty Bonecrusher. He's buried here beneath this statue at Ellerslie Racecourse in Auckland. And this takes us back 34 years to the greatest Cox Plate of all, the race of the century. Frank Ritchie has trained thousands of racehorses, but none braver than the chestnut he called Red. The veteran Kiwi trainer often reflects on Cox Plate Day 1986.
I was a nervous wreck. We took the horse over ourselves. You're always watching for what you missed. What have I missed? What do I need? There's not much you can obviously do at that point in time, but you're ticking over all the time.
Long before race day, it had been billed as the race of the century. Two Kiwis, Bonecrusher, ridden by Gary Stewart, and Our Waverley Star, ridden by Lance O'Sullivan and owned by political heavyweight Russ Hinds.
My bloke's so bloody mean, you know, he's a mean bastard.
We felt that he had a yard of pace on us. And so if the two horses had gone toe-to-toe over a mile, I think Waverley Star would have beaten us more than we beat him. At 2,000 metres, we probably had the edge.
This is it, they're racing. Here's Bonecrusher. He's pulled into the outside, shooting around them, and Our Waverley Star's going with it.
But Gary, in his infinite wisdom, thought, nah, I've got to go now. I thought, Christ, what are you doing?
Here come the New Zealanders, Our Waverley Star and Bonecrusher. They've raced to the lead, 600 out. Have they gone too early?
Frank's assistant trainer was his son, Sean.
Standing between the owner, Peter Mitchell, and of course my father. I was the only one with binoculars, and I put them down at the 800 and said, we're going to run second here, boys. And at that point I wasn't sure we were going to hold on to second.
On the corner, when Waverley Star got the length on us, I wasn't consciously thinking this at the time, but I've always thought he's got that yard of pace and he's going to use that at some point in time, and that's when he used it. I wasn't sure he could make up the difference.
Our Waverley Star, the round, Bonecrusher the outside, and Bonecrusher races into equine immortality.
Lance O'Sullivan rode 2,478 winners in a 23-year career, but he's rarely spoken about the race he didn't win aboard our Waverley Star.
We'll skip that. We won't talk about that. No, it was one of those. It was one of those races. It was my first ride in a Cox Plate.
$1.5 million as he photo finishes our Waverley Star.
It was a shame one day there had to be a loser that day.
You don't fluke a Cox Plate. You had to be the best of the best, and those two deserve to be. You almost say they deserve together. Without Waverley Star, there's no Bonecrusher. There's no race of the century, I suppose.
99 Cox Plates. It's the one that everyone remembers. Yes, and probably 50 years from now they'll still be talking about it.
The 100th Cox Plate, October 24, the grand final that night. But when you look back at 1986, Bruce, you just can't believe it. The 800, two jockeys decided to go. Two perfect horses finished so close together, and the perfect one line from Bill Collins.
It was a remarkable day, it really was. The greatest caller produced his greatest call, to be honest, with Bill Collins and those two wonderful horses. And, as he said, he raced into equine immortality. The build-up was enormous. I mean, I actually called the race alongside Bill for Channel 10, so I lived the race like everybody else. And it was just an amazing day, it really was. Hey, Lance O'Sullivan, who rode our Waverley Stars, got a horse running today in the tramway, can win in Dragon Leap, and quickly on New Zealand. Avantage won the big Group 2 today. Tiaco Racing have had a terrific day. Opie Possum couldn't make the weight on Avantage. Danielle Johnson rode the horse for the 5th time. She's had 4 wins. She's a terrific mare, Avantage.
How many screens have you got over there in Adelaide? Didn't you? Well, we go to the Chelmsford Stakes next at Randwick. Race 7, 1,600 metres, 35 of 63 runners the last 5 years have been trained by Chris Waller. He's got 9 of 15 here. TJ Smith has won the race 16 times. It's all set up, should be a beauty.
This year's Group 2 Chelmsford Stakes is full of intrigue. Now 7, James Cummings's Wait for Age warrior, Avilius, is back for another big spring.
Avilius moved up, takes the lead.
It's been 17 months
Angel of Truth is well clear.
since Angel of Truth's last win, but the Derby winner impressed first up when second in the spring preview. And Zabrowski has his admirers after finishing strongly behind Very Elegant in the Wink Stakes. The Waller Army is headlined by the regally bred Finch, who makes a long-awaited return after a year away from the track.
Finch goes home best to win the Kingston.
And his winner of the Gong last year, Mr. Seawolf, is set for a big spring.
Mr. Seawolf, the wolf.
While the pizza-loving Doncaster hero, Natoya, is back and ready to take on another big scalp.
Natoya cleans them up in the Doncaster.
The 125th running of this time-honoured race is sure to be a beauty.
And Chris Waller's got such a strong hand. 2014, he had the first 6 past the post. There'll be a lot of white bridles to look for this afternoon. When you look at the jockey silks, who would you like to be riding, Katie?
I think Mr. Seawolf. I think there's so many horses in this race that obviously have bigger targets in store. But I think Mr. Seawolf, he's had the run under his belt, and look, he might be the horse that's actually trained to win the race. Nash Rawiller's on board him. He'll stand over him. He's a really tough, honest horse, and yeah, look, I think I would want to be a Mr. Seawolf, but gee, there's so many other horses in this race that are capable of winning.
Bruce, 2014, Chris, the first 6 past the post. He's only 6, different today. Have we tried to put these in order? I don't think it's the most sensible thing to do, but we've tried, haven't we?
I found it really tricky. They're almost a motley lot, Chris. When I say that, I don't mean that derogatory. I mean, it's so hard to get your head around them. So I've gone for the 2 staying type horses, Finch and Ambition. I do see Katie's point of view with Mr. Seawolf and Yulong Prince, but I found this extremely difficult when you asked us, Haim, during the week.
Yeah, same with me, Bruce. They're really just another bunch of horses starting off their preparation, most of them. So not necessarily the best horses are going to finish in the first 4, but the ones that are more adept, like Yulong Prince and life less ordinary at that sort of trip. Maybe even Finch, who can show a little bit of speed in the race, at least in a race devoid of any pace.
There is a chance that none of you have got them right, seeing there's 5 others that have been left out. Let's get to Kathy O'Hara, who's with Lizzie, who rides Finch.
Kathy O'Hara partners up with Finch in the Chelmsford Stakes, and she was able to ride him last year. Kathy, he's such a magnificent looking horse. How do you think he's going? Because some of his gallops have been really eye-catching.
Yeah, he's going really good this prep, Liz. He's really settled into Australian life, and he's had a long time since his last preparation, and I think he just needed that bit of time. You know, he's such a big horse, and you know, they've got to take good care of him because he's a big animal, and his legs are under a lot of pressure because he's massive. He's a massive striding horse, and like he doesn't take care of himself. He reaches as far as he can reach when he gallops. Like underneath you, he literally takes the longest stride of a horse that I've ever ridden.
He's one of those horses that, as I said, is eye-catching, and he has such a great galloping action. Do you think that this race with no speed is going to help him today?
I think so. Look, I rode him in the same race last year, and I ended up running just 3rd in the race, and well, I was sat 3rd in the race. He ran 5th, but he wasn't beaten far at all, and this year there's a little bit less pressure in front, and I think he's going better as well. And like I said, he's really settled into the Australian way of training and life, and he's really enjoying himself. And his gallop the other day between races was as good as it could be. You know, he feels like a different horse this time in. He's much stronger, and I think he's going to run a really cheeky race.
You've got Ziva and Emma tomorrow jumping, a day off, but you're still in the saddle.
I will be, yeah. They're going around at Jump Club tomorrow, and hopefully one day Finch can come and join them at Jump Club for me. So yeah, fingers crossed he can win here today and win a couple more races, but then he can join me and my team show jumping.
Always a life after racing for the horses. So we're about to go into the mounting yard. We're going to have a look at a number of these horses. As we said, Chris Waller's had such a lot of runners over the last 5 years. 35 of 63 coming into today, 9 of 15 today. Avilius didn't win last prep. Katie first up today, but didn't really run a bad race last prep.
No, he's such an honest horse, isn't he? He's always around the mark, and I do think that he's a better horse in Sydney, so I'm happy to see him back here. He's a 3-time Group 1 winner, and he is a weight for age performer. He's got a lot of weight to carry, but he was 2nd in this race last year. But here's the horse that we just spoke to Kathy about, Finch. He's going to be forward. He's a really big striding horse, and you know, I think with the lack of speed in this race, he should be able to maybe sit outside the leader or take it up. And Kathy O'Hara gets along so well with him that if she gets into that nice rhythm, he'll be awfully hard to catch.
Mr. Seawolf, one of the Waller runners, ran okay first up. Sort of heavy track probably didn't suit Bruce.
He did, Haim, and look, he's a solid horse. We know that. He's got a pretty good 2nd up record. He won the Gong over 1600. He hasn't been placed in 4 Randwick 1600 metre races, but he's a live chance. He'll run a good race.
Woogok would love it, wetter and wetter, but...
Yeah. Well, he was winning the Wyong Gold Cup this time last year on the Friday, Haim. Look, he's a fabulous winter horse and a really good wet track. This is not his cup of tea today, I wouldn't have thought. And then the next one, he's interesting, life less ordinary. I mean, he's a bit like Mr. Seawolf. He's just hardy. There he is now. He's tough and hardy. He's won a JRA plate. He's won a Hollandale Cup, a Wagga Cup. He can stay. You know he'll be strong late. I just don't think he can win first up. He has won twice first up with a couple of placings, but I think those odds are about the right odds for him.
Shared ambition, Katie. J-Mac, Chris Wallace struggled on a very heavy track when resuming, where it was a bit keen in the run.
Yeah, he did. He's a funny horse, and I'd imagine that they would have liked to have drawn a better barrier with him, because he is from 14 going to find himself a fair way back, so he's going to need the speed on, and I just don't think there'll be that much speed. Horse number 10, Angel of Truth. Well, here's some speed. You know that this horse will be forward from that barrier. He'll control the race, and I can see why he's got those short odds after running such a brilliant race in the spring preview first up.
Zabrowski, Bruce, the runner-up in the ATC Derby.
Interesting, Hayden. So this is the only 4-year-old in the race. No 4-year-old in the Feehan today. Now, generally 4-year-olds, you think during his 4-year-old career, can be the big weight for age horses. So fascinating horse, this bloke. I think he's got a great chance, and I hope he runs well.
A crowd favourite, Katie, Natoya, the Doncaster winner, loves a beer and a pizza.
Yeah, the pizza-loving mare she is, isn't she? She's hopefully she doesn't get a positive swab. I know that she likes champagne also, Haim. So we'll have to be careful with Wendy Roach. But no, look, I'd imagine she'd need the run.
Okay, let's get to Ben Way. The market here, Ben, in the Chelmsford.
Yeah, as Katie mentioned, it was such a cracking run first up for the new stable, Angel of Truth, and understandably favourite as a result. Villiers, well, our traders are pretty keen to take a set against the Godolphin runner here. Currently $5.50. The draw's the issue there. Just does not map well at all. Mr. Seawolf at 6. Shared Ambition has been crunched late. Some smart money there, 9 into 6.50. Zabrowski at 7. Finch has been the best backed runner up until this point, $17 into 9.50. Natoya at $16, $26 or more the rest. But yeah, late push for Shared Ambition here. Angel of Truth, your favourite at $5.
Well, this is a difficult race to decipher. There's a lot of horses who are resuming, who are only having one run since their first start run, and they look as though there's a bit of improvement in most of them. I'm going with Yulong Prince on top. I thought that he presented, as he always does, in really good shape, but he looks naturally as though he's come to hand quickly. So fitness, I don't think, will be an issue for him. And I think at the each way odds, he can run very, very well. If I was to put anything else in, Villiers looks fantastic. The best I've seen him first up into a campaign for quite some time. Finch looks forward enough to be effective first up as well. But I'm going with Yulong Prince to cause a bit of a boil over.
Thanks, Lizzie, very much. Ben, a hot horse?
The hot horse had been struggling, Haim, but we got one back last race with Dame Giselle. We're going with Shared Ambition here. It would have been Finch up until probably 5 minutes ago, but Shared Ambition for James McDonald and Chris Waller has been crunched late, 9 into 6.50.
Thanks very much, Ben. And Bruce, we've just heard some very sad news that Rick Worthington, a trainer who's done so much with so many horses over the journey, has sadly passed away, and the jockeys will be wearing black armbands.
That is very sad news, Haim. That is a real setback. So Rick, yeah, he was a very popular trainer and a successful one. So our condolences to his family, mate.
So it's time for the Chelmsford. They're all just about loaded. Let's join Darren Flindell.
The red light is on for the Chelmsford Stakes. Racing. Natoya was last out off the inside with Morton's Fork. Now, Woogok wide out jump well. Mr. Seawolf nicely into stride, and Finch is rolling forward. Cariff and Yulong Prince are both handy as Woogok leads comfortably. So Angel of Truth couldn't lead and settles about sixth there in the Cerise Jacket, followed by Miss Sentimental. Lifeless Ordinary improving, then came Brimham Rocks. Further back to Natoya on the improve on the inside at Dance. Zabrowski's well back in the field together with Morton's Fork, Shed Ambition. Adna Villiers last of all, at least 16 off the lead. So Woogok's leads comfortably here, and Mr. Seawolf. Nashua Willer's got him up running second, right in the slipstream of the front runner, 3 off to Finch. 2 further back to Yulong Prince, a length and a half to Cara. Further back to Angel of Truth, midfield, a length then to Lifeless Ordinary. From Miss Sentimental, Brimham Rocks 3 wide. Up on the outside at Dance. They're followed by Natoya from Zabrowski in the last 3. Morton's Fork, Villiers all boxed up, and Shared Ambition racing to the turn, and Woogok trying to steal this, really upping the tempo, coming around the turn, and Hieronymus has gone for home, 2 lengths clear. Mr. Seawolf, though, hasn't been asked as yet by Nashua Willer, and there's gas in the tank. Here comes the Wharf. Mr. Seawolf ran past Woogok, then Finch, and further back to Yulong Prince. Angel of Truth, but Mr. Seawolf has broken clear. 2.5 clear. Yulong Prince with a late rally. Mr. Seawolf, a length and a half to Yulong Prince. Mr. Seawolf needs the post. He's finding it. Yes, Mr. Seawolf goes on to win the Chelmsford from Yulong Prince. Finch has run third, Villiers fourth, I'd say. Then Angel of Truth, Woogok. Further back to Cariff, Zabrowski late from Shared Ambition. Villiers behind them from Dance. Natoya, Miss Sentimental, Lifeless Ordinary, Brimham Rocks, and Morton's Fork.
3, 6 and 2. Waller, and then James Cummings, Bruce.
God, Chris, 1, 2, 3. We're not surprised, hey, are we?
No.
So he wins his Chelmsford for the 6th time. He's 10 behind Tommy, though. He's got some catching up. Gee, he's a good, aggressive rider. Nash, he got right into the slipstream, as Darren said. He was tough. Yulong Prince looked terrific, as Lizzie said. Gee, hasn't Finch got some tactical speed, Katie? And what about a Villiers? It was some sort of a run.
Oh, he was so far back of Villiers. I looked at Villiers and Shared Ambition at the corner. I think they were nearly 10 lengths off them. The speed was really set by Woogok in front. But Mr. Seawolf, he was right on his heels the whole way. He's just so tough and so honest. And Finch, he did a really good job to stick on. You can't miss Finch. He's huge, and that stride on him. And I knew as soon as Yulong Prince came out of the pack, I thought, oh, well, Mr. Seawolf will
just listened to Kathy O'Hara before, Katie. If she takes Finch jumping, he's going to jump just about anything he's pointed at. He's enormous, as you say.
Oh, unbelievable. And, yeah, she certainly wants Finch when he retires. And, yeah, well, she jumps 1.20 metre on her warm bloods. I think he could nearly make it to the top, Haim. He'd nearly make it to the Olympics.
Well, he's enormous, as you're saying. Well done, Lizzie Jelf. Yulong Prince at an enormous price almost gets the job done, Bruce.
No, she's a great judge, Lizzie, but I reckon Katie's right too. He doesn't like to win. He came out of a Johannesburg ready to run. I mean, they come from everywhere, but, gee, there were some good runs in the race. There really was, but... great result for Chris and for Nash. I mean, Nash rode 4 winners on this day. He's on Dreamforce and the next. We know he's had his ups and downs in the last week or two. And we know Huey Bowman's not far off coming back as well, speaking of that sort of stuff. But, look, Finch was terrific. He can sit on the pace. Avilius might be back.
Yep.
If he gets a wet track, I hope he gets a wet track at some stage this spring, because I reckon he's ready to win again.
Lizzie said never looked better coming into his first up run. Just quickly, we've got to go to a break. How many did TJ win?
16.
How many has Chris now won?
6.
He'll probably do it in about 10 years. He'll probably just go back to back to back to back to back. A quick break. The Feehan, it's got a wonderful history. It's next at the Valley. And first, second and third, Nash Rilla rode Mr. Seawolf, but let's hear from Chris.
To win in.
Another lockdown, huh? Thanks, WhatsApp, but I'm not going to do it in these. Because cotton underwear rides up, trap sweat and chafes. Enough! Introducing Step 1 underwear. These ultra glide panels stop chafe and ride up. You buy them online at step1.life. Quack, quack.
You can give a car all the luxuries you want. But when it comes from a long line of race cars, well, the apple doesn't fall far from the racetrack.
The renowned heart surgeon gunned down on his way to work.
It shocked most people something like this could happen to such a high-profile person.
3 kidnap attempts, an international manhunt, an extraordinary link to the triad, and the secret kept from the public.
It's not often that you get that type of evidence left at a crime scene.
Will be revealed.
Crime Investigation Australia, Sunday 8:30 on 7.
Wait for age group 2, the mile at Randwick. Chris Waller has trained first, second and third. Nash Rilla rode Mr. Seawolf, but let's hear from Chris.
An amazing horse at 9 years of age to do that today, Chris.
Yeah. It's a pretty special race, wasn't it?
It was. Now, let me explain to people, Rick Worthington, a very close friend of yours, we've just learnt that that Rick has passed away and you're doing it a bit tough today.
Yeah, all the trainers found out about half an hour ago and it was just an air of silence. Yeah, to lose a man like Rick, it's very sad, too young.
You've known him ever since you come across from New Zealand?
Yeah, he's the first one to help someone out if someone's doing it tough, and he's done it tougher than anybody in the last few years, and he'd be the last one to show it. Yeah, it's a sad day.
Everyone said how popular he is, and we don't get to see how popular he is behind the scenes amongst his mates at Warwick Farm.
Yeah, he's a tough man, and that's how he will be remembered by all of us and so many people outside of racing as well that he would have touched throughout his life. And a fantastic horseman, and just a dedicated man to horses in his life, and yeah, at least we've won a race to have a bit of a smile.
Yeah. Okay, well, Mr. Seawolf can pay tribute to Rick today. Well done.
Thank you.
Chris Waller.
He's always been emotional, Bruce, hasn't he? When Winks was winning, he found it hard to find his words, and when a mate passes away, naturally we see Chris hugely emotional again.
And Rick had been ill for some time, and he is so young. And Haim, look, just reading off a text that Nick sent me, these are the horses that he broke in, Rick Worthington. He broke in Exceed and Excel, and Costa del Lago, Schnitzel, Flying Spur, and Miss Finland. I mean,
wow.
Can you believe it? No. He had White Friars himself, the trainer. He won a couple of Group 2s, including the Salinger up the straight on Derby Day and the Australia Stakes at Moonee Valley. But to have the ability to break in those horses that have changed the history of Australian racing, and you just saw Chris there. So, you know, we're all sort of tearing up a bit, but too young, and what a legacy he leaves. Yeah, great to see Chris remember a friend, and well, 1, 2 and 3, and Rick will be watching on, pretty proud of Chris, I think, too. So we're going to turn our attention to the Feehan. We've got an opportunity for a horse to win and go through to the Cox Plate with that win. Surprise Baby wants to go to the Cox Plate and then the Melbourne Cup. It's a race with so much history. It was first run in 1949.
The Group 2 John Feehan Stakes is named after the original landowner of where the Moonee Valley Racecourse is now located. But from 2005 to 2018 was named the Dato Tan Chin Nam Stakes.
Dato Tan Chin Nam away.
Run over 1,600 metres at weight for age, the winner now receives a golden ticket into the Cox Plate. Recent winners include El Segundo, Happy Trails, and a Tassie colt horse.
And the Cleaner jumps well.
The Cleaner was a popular winner in 2014.
But the Cleaner won it. The Cleaner by Elite Mourinho.
And again in 2015.
And too good for them. The Cleaner by 2 lengths to Bagman Dibyani.
Icons of the Australian turf. Better Loosen Up, Sunline and Northerly all took out the Feehan Cox Plate double.
Away, and Fiorente jumped pretty well.
While Fiorente won the 2013 renewal on his way to Melbourne Cup glory.
Here's Fiorente storming. Spacecraft still hanging on. Ladari dives in. Fiorente! Fiorente the outside. I reckon he's nailed him.
Well, Emily summed it up really well, Bruce. Some wonderful horses have won and gone on to do wonderful things that spring, and I think you want to take us back to 1954. And this is the first horse to do the double, Haim. We talk about the ticket in today. This is the first horse to do it, Rising Fast. So he wins the Feehan and the Cox Plate. Has there been a better spring, Haim? I don't think so. Farlap in 1930, Mackay Diva 05, Think Big 2010. I reckon this is the best spring any horse has ever had. Rising Fast in 54, a Feehan, and then the Turnbull wasn't a Group 1 at the time. The Caulfield Stakes, he's the only horse in the history of Australian racing to win a Caulfield Cup, Cox Plate, and Melbourne Cup in the one spring. And the only other horse to win the 3 is Might and Power. He did that over 2 springs. He also won 3 races in Melbourne Cup week, the McKinnon, the Melbourne Cup, the Fisher Plate. Ivan Tucker trained him at the time. Jack Purtell rode him. That, I feel, is the greatest spring in Australian racing, that New Zealand Nettie. There you go, in 1954, winning the Feehan. So 8 starts, 8 wins, and that was it right there. It's quite remarkable. He may have had a lead-up run. I'd have to double-check that, but they're the feature race wins. Could you imagine, Haim, a horse doing that today? It's just quite remarkable what he achieved. And then he came back the next year and won the Caulfield Cup. Should have won the Melbourne Cup. They didn't protest, and Neville Selwood got time. I think he got 2 months on top of Rowe, who beat him. He should be the only horse to win 2 Caulfield Cups and 2 Melbourne Cups. Wow. Always nice to get a history lesson on a Saturday afternoon. Rising Fast. We'll check whether it was 8 from... Group 2, Tramway Stakes, 1,400 metres. Ben Way from the tab. Is there a hot horse?
There certainly is, and it will be James McDonald's mount here in Reloaded. Chris Waller and J-Mac teaming up once more. Punters have had a crack at that combination a few times today and they've missed, but 6 into 550, easily the best back. Dreamforce still our favourite at 3:30.
Thanks, Ben, very much. So Reloaded first up for Chris Waller, the 4-year-old Entire. Lizzie Jelfs, Dreamforce, won this race last year by 3 lengths, knocked up first up. Bruce, where would we be going if you had $2 in your pocket and had to bet? He's well-weighted, Dreamforce, Haim. I mean, he's the class runner of the race. That's a really good question you've asked me. I'm going to stay with Dragon Leap, despite the absolute drift. There you go. I'm going to spend your $2 on Dragon Leap. OK, and Katie, you're with Dragon Leap, but your partner James McDonald's horse Reloaded, well supported.
Yeah, I am. I'm cheering for Reloaded, but I do think Dragon Leap can win the race, but it's going to be a really, really good contest. Looks like Elvis, Katie's so unlucky first up. Yes, so unlucky. Hopefully he gets more luck today. Let's get to Darren Flindell.
1,400 metres. Racing now, and Graceful, Glamour and Dreamforce have done their thing. They land in front. Only a split air between the pair. Graceful Glamour just in front of Dreamforce, and Colding bounced the gates well into third, and Colette holds a forward spot fourth inside Opacity. Dragon Leap caught deep, then came Reloaded from Glenore. Looks like Elvis Rock, and the Queenslander Varna Girls last of all. Dreamforce, he's doing a bit of work here to try and cross the mare Graceful Glamour, and the pace is strong. Dreamforce a half in front. Graceful Glamour, she's a real control freak, and she won't give up the lead without a fight. Colding's right there in third, and they've gapped the rest of the field. 6 lengths away to Colette on the inside of Opacity. Looks like Elvis starting an early run. Then Dragon Leap from Reloaded. Further back to Glenall. Rock and Varna Girl are the last two. Dreamforce eventually got to a clear lead now by a length on Graceful Glamour. Colding strides up on the outside. Then Opacity looks like Elvis, and Colette sneaking right up on the inside. Dreamforce has worked in the run, leads the way from Graceful Glamour. Colding clear from Colette. Then came Reloaded working into the clear. Dreamforce at the 200 has broken clear by a length on Colding, and then Graceful Glamour further back to Reloaded. Dreamforce still a length in front. He's kicking, trying his Colding. Reloaded late, but Dreamforce will do it again. Back-to-back tramway. Dreamforce, what a hard-fought victory. He fended off Colding and the fast-finishing Reloaded. Behind them, Graceful Glamour, Glenall charging at the end. Then came Colette, followed by Looks Like Elvis, Rock, Opacity, and Dragon Leap was about the last to finish.
3-length winner last year, a little tighter this year. Colding, a return to form, Katie.
Yes, it was. I thought he was nearly going to have it, Colding, but I can't believe the run of Dreamforce. He sat in the death position. Nash just outside the leader, and he was working so hard. He's just such a tough, honest horse, isn't he? He was there to be beaten, and Colding had the nice sit on him. He couldn't get by him. Reloaded was a great run from back. Graceful Glamour was game, running fourth there. Dragon Leap was a pass mark, I thought, Bruce.
Not bad, Katie. I mean, I wouldn't completely give him away. He ran okay. Varna Girl the same, but look, he's an 8-year-old, this horse. John Thompson's done a remarkable job with him. He wins a couple of tramways. Nash is so aggressive, Hamey. He just rides these horses up the front. He did it in the previous race, and he's a tough horse. He's building a fantastic career. Love Colding. I think he is nearly back, and nothing wrong with Reloaded. He just needs a win. And look, Dragon Leap, I wouldn't completely give him away, that is for sure. But a really, really interesting race. And Varna Girl was getting home pretty well as well.
There's a pretty even group, Bruce, going on over the line here. They grouped together.
And we're going to see a lot of these in the Epsom. A lot of these will be in the Epsom in a few weeks' time, in that sort of first week of October. But this bloke, he's a weight for age Group 1 winner, and he's won this race twice. He's won a lot of money. He's won about $2.3 million, and he's a fast at rock, and he's still going strong. And he's a front runner, and he did the job well.
Katie, Nash has got such a unique way of riding. You just look at his arms and you can tell it's Nash.
Yes, he's so strong. He's got really big upper body strength. He really gets over the top of them, and he gets the best out of them. He really, really uses his power to get the most out of his horses, and especially these old geldings too. They really appreciate having someone like Nash on him, and you can see him there. He's kicking in. He gets down really low, and yeah, good on him. He's having a wonderful day.
Well, let's get to the trainer of the 8-year-old gelding by Fastnet Rock, John Thompson.
Well done, John. You've just got to love Dreamforce.
Yeah, he's honest and true. I mean, just had to put a line through his run first up. That was just a disaster, but he come through the run well, and, you know, just the race today suited a lot better, set weights penalties, and, you know, he just mapped better for us as well.
He likes to do it from the front, so does that mare. So when Nash went up and put pressure on her, what were you thinking?
Yeah, I was a bit worried, especially after him sort of going a bit keen, you know, last start and stopping. But he obviously stripped a lot fitter horse today, and on top of the ground helps. You know, I think, you know, they were big pluses for us.
Yeah, and Nash, he's got so much confidence in him.
He just, you know, he rides him in a lot of work, and he knows the horse so well, and you don't have to give him any instructions, just leave it up to him, and he works it out.
Well done.
Thank you.
Good ride, good training performance. It's 13 from 35 now for Dreamforce, and he wins after a pretty disappointing run. First up, we now turn our attention to Moonee Valley. It's the Feehan, 8 runners. Let's have a look at some of those most fancied.
Signal, and they're racing.
With a spot in the Centenary Cox Plate up for grabs, a strong field has assembled for this year's Feehan. After a year off, Paul Prushka's star stay-up, Surprise Baby, is back, and set to be one of the stars of the spring.
Surprise Baby by a length and 3/4 won the Bart Cummings.
Matt Williams has Harbour Views on a Cox Plate path.
Harbour Views takes the lead at the 200.
And we already know he loves the Valley.
Harbour Views won it well from WT.
Proven big race performer Streets of Avalon will look to recapture his autumn form.
Streets of Avalon's won the Group 1 from Super Seth.
Maha Madeus, Sir Coney and Coming Around are fit and in form.
But bolting in, coming around 2 lengths.
And then there's Old Humidor, already with a spot in Cox Plate folklore. Will he again be a player in this year's great race?
Humidor's coming at it. Weeks is holding on. The Great Bear completes the great trilogy of the turf.
A golden ticket into the Cox Plate is at stake, and we're in for a beauty.
Let's just have a look at those silks as we get into the mounting yard in a moment, and we have a look at Surprise Baby doing some work at Horsham. Bruce, who would you like to be training this afternoon?
Surprise Baby, Hame. I mean, he's the horse that has so much potential. There's some beautiful irony here, Hamish, because Humidor last year was sort of balloted out of the Cox Plate. He was desperate to go in it again. Now, he has been second to Winks and third to Winks. He ran in the Moonee Valley Cup on that day. He can actually get a ticket today by going in and running in the Cox Plate by winning. But, look, he and Streets of Avalon are the 2 Group 1 winners. But to answer your question, Surprise Baby's the horse. He's got the big potential around him. Look, I hope he wins, because I think if he does, then we're all going to be following him throughout the spring.
Absolutely, and Katie, Craig Williams took Helmet Cam with him to Horsham to do some work, and we all saw it during the week. It gave you such a great feel as to what it's like to be on a jockey on such a good horse.
I didn't think Craig Williams would know where Horsham was, actually.
He would have got a chopper down there, wouldn't
he? Exactly, maybe a private jet. But, yeah, this is as close as you get to the real thing. And Surprise Baby there, you can see him, he was just cantering off nice and quietly, and then this is when he gets into his work. So he's just tracking, and oh my goodness, there he goes. That's him flat stick, and that is quick game. Let me tell you, I've felt it myself. So look, that was super work from him.
He was just galloping behind and then started to sort of let down. He just went whoosh straight past those galloping partners.
Yeah, I mean, to see a horse go that fast, it's a stayer. We're talking about a Melbourne Cup here. That's sprinting work. So very, very good work from him. I'm sure Paul's really happy, and Craig.
Well, let's find out. Paul is with Jason Richardson.
Well, I'm proud.
Well, let's go into the mounting yard. You've spoken about Humidor, Bruce. Henry, he's with Chris Waller now, and Damien Lane's on board.
Yeah, he's comeback galloper. He was retired, then unretired for Lindsay Smith, and now finds himself with Chris Waller. He's just brought him back to a formula that works. He's had 3 runs at Moonee Valley. He hasn't won a race here, but 2 of his runs have been behind Winks. So we saw him almost knock her off in a Cox Plate, which would have been horrendous. But I'd imagine Chris wouldn't be bringing him here today unless he's going OK.
So Coney or Streets of Avalon will lead, Bruce?
They will, Hame. And look, he's probably not as good at a mile, Streets of Avalon, as he is at 1400. He is a Group 1 winner at 1400. He beat a couple of terrific horses that day, Super Seth and Melody Bell. He's been looking for a drier track, so quick back up after the Memsey. Look, he'll run well. He's in the mix, I think.
Surprise Baby we've been speaking about. He's got so much X-Factor. Flew home in the Cup last year. Yeah, well, that X-Factor you mentioned, he's probably Australia's best stayer, maybe along with Russian Camelot. He's lightly raced and touch wood. He'll be around for plenty of years yet. It's just an amazing run in last year's Melbourne Cup, and didn't do anything in the autumn, and he'll have a light spring, so he might beat the handicapper this year and get him with a lightweight again. But if he does win today, then you'd be hard-pressed for them not to go to the Cox Plate, and it might ruin everything for them. Who knows? Nick Ryan's training well. Mohamed Ayas, rock hard fit, Bruce.
He was second last year, Hame, in this race, and I reckon he's going better now than he was then. That was behind Homesman, himself a really top-class horse. So, look, he's got a very, very strong record. He's a good miler. He's good at the track at the mile. No, I think he's got a real chance, and he's around about the same odds as Streets of Avalon.
Saccone, Daniel Stackhouse, ran well last week, flew off that 7-day backup.
Yeah, he looked all over the winner there, didn't he? And just in good health for Peter Moody, kicked back and beat him late. So the 1700 back to 1600 probably suits. Wait for age is the query. He's a 100 rater now, so he's probably got to deal with that sort of thing. But he is against sort of 100 and 110 raters here, and he just doesn't look that well at the weights. But the other query is his 3 poor runs at the Valley. They were always a younger horse when he wasn't going that well.
Exasperate, Bruce. 7 races won at this distance from 15.
Yeah, he's a miler, Haim. He's had to overcome a lot of problems in his career and he's really bounced back so well. He had a terrific spell before first up third. His second up record sound. Look, I don't think he can win, but God, for Matthew Brown and Brian Higgins, it's going to be a big moment if they can get this horse into the Cox Plate. Look, his form's good, but I just think these horses are slightly better than him.
This is Harbour Views. We heard Matt speaking about this horse moments ago. Well placed. He's won 6 from 10.
Yeah, he's a promising horse, but he just probably hasn't delivered on the hype just yet. He's still got to do a little bit. He's got a good profile, but whether we talk about Cox Plates and that sort of thing, he'd want to prove himself today. He's a horse that always trials well, but he trialled extra well, I thought. He sort of cruised up outside a horse like Be Good to Your Mother and Gallo Chop was in behind him, so he's obviously going as well as he can, but where that puts him, not sure.
Coming around, also a horse, Bruce, that's really fit. Was good here last time.
And Haim, he'd won 3 straight in WA before he came to Victoria. He's had 3 runs in Victoria for a win and a couple of places. Quickly, Henry, Brent Stanley, I reckon he's training well, don't you?
Yeah, he's getting a few winners. He's obviously up at Sutton Grange and he's got Grant and Alana Williams staying with him, so all those Bob Peters horses as well. So he'd have a few good horses and a few to benchmark coming around against too. This was actually a Grant Williams horse originally.
So that is the field in the Feehan. Let's get to Brett Finch from PointsBet and see how the market looks.
The $3.50 favourite is Surprise Baby, but only one favourite has won the Feehan Stakes in the last 10 years. He's also $8 favourite for the Melbourne Cup with PointsBet, so he's unlikely to be anywhere near his peak fitness today. It's been easy in betting and the trading team are happy to take him on. Second favourite is Harbour Views. He has been a big drifter, $3.60. He's out to $4.40. But the biggest mover has been for Saccone. We went up at $8.50 and that price has been smashed into $4.50. Streets of Avalon, the other leader, along with Saccone, has also been well backed, $13 into $8.50, Hamish.
Thanks, Brett, very much. So just for those that are Dean Lester followers, 4, 6, 5, 8 and 1. So Surprise Baby from Saccone, Mohammedaeus, Harbour Views and Humidor. And there is Craig Williams on board. A horse that, well, it's easy to fall in love with a horse that's trained in the country by a knockabout trainer that has continued to run well every time he's been on the track.
And we spoke of those bargain buys earlier. I think he was under 10,000 in online auction as well. I think if you talk to John Thompson over at Rich Hill Stud, who stands shocking, they couldn't get him in a sale and he might have gone through the second tier sale and been passed in, and they ended up throwing their hands up and just put him online and letting him go for very little money. So he's a rags to riches story, there's no doubt about that, and that's what we love about racing.
Almost won $1 million. Back to you, Brett, the market mover for PointsBet.
Yeah, this is an easy one, Hamish. Saccone has been absolutely smashed and the money keeps coming for it. Opened at $8.50. He's come all the way in again to $4. So a big mover here for PointsBet.
Thanks, Brett. To you, Richo.
Well, Saccone will be one of the on-speed horses, but he'll have company with Streets of Avalon, I'm sure, so they'll be going forward.
So across the board, Richo, Henry Dwyer and Dean Lester, all with Surprise Baby, who's been backed all week, is the favourite, but a lot of money for Saccone. Let's get to Matt Hill.
Set to gallop. Ready. Racing. Humidor from barrier 1 away moderately. Streets of Avalon jumped well with Harbour Views, and coming around, Saccone rousted in the middle. Exasperate got to 5th, then Humidor, Surprise Baby second last, and Mohammedaeus last. That's the order as they head to the bottom corner, 1,300 to go. Saccone eventually will cross and lead from Streets of Avalon, coming around a shade keen, third the outside of Harbour Views. 2 lengths Exasperate and Humidor, a couple of lengths Surprise Baby getting into a rhythm second last, and Mohammedaeus last, 1,000 to go. Saccone by a half length and Dictates here from Streets of Avalon, a length and a quarter coming around, and Harbour Views fourth on the fence. 2 lengths Exasperate, and then came Humidor. Surprise Baby 7 off the leader, Mohammedaeus last. To the side of the course through halfway, and it's Saccone with that rock hard fitness leading by 3/4 of a length. Streets of Avalon, a length and a quarter coming around Harbour Views. Now some runs, Mohammedaeus and Surprise Baby from the back, 4 and 5. 5 deep. Exasperate going with them. Harbour View's back to second last. Only 3 off the lead, if that. Humidor last. So it's on now. Approaching the turn of the 450. Sir Coney just in front of Streets of Avalon. Surprise Baby now around the outside. Harbour Views is going to cut the corner, followed by Exasperate. Around the turn of the 250. It's Sir Coney hunted down by Harbour Views on the fence. Then Streets of Avalon and Surprise Baby down the middle. Harbour Views at the 100 takes Sir Coney. Then Surprise Baby. Humidor's lifting at the middle. Humidor, the old boy, yes. Humidor has won it. From Surprise Baby, Harbour Views, photo fourth. Streets of Avalon, Sir Coney. What a return. And they were followed by coming around Mahamadeus and Exasperate last.
Wow, Chris Waller, Humidor. 8 years of age, he resumes for a new trainer. He was retired, unretired, and you could just see him mowing them down, Bruce. That just made everyone here smile.
And Damien Lane won the Cox Plate, didn't he, Haim, last year? So he gets to a third Cox Plate. He's the only horse that really gave Winks a real run in the Cox Plate. Remember when he got to her girth and we all thought the world was going to win? What a ride. Look, I'm going to give a secret away here. Katie Mallion told me yesterday that this horse could win. I don't know what she knew, but she told me yesterday that this horse could win. Katie, what did you know?
Oh, I've got a couple of people at Flemington that watch them go around, and this horse apparently has been jumping out of his skin. And this is from my mum, who's watched him in the pool track the last week. So, I'm just so thrilled for everyone. And Chris Waller is having a great day out, and Damien Lane rode this horse perfectly.
And Surprise Baby, Bruce, I thought under a little bit of pressure on the turn, but charged late, and, well, Humidor was just too good in the end.
Look, he was, Haim, but Surprise Baby was enormous. Absolutely enormous. I mean, whatever he pricing is for the Cups, he won't be lengthening, that's for sure. But I just love this story. This, Henry, you would know, I mean, he went to Perth, he had 3 runs, and I reckon before the third, Lindsay Smith said if he doesn't run a place, he's definitely retired. Now, they had second thoughts, and this is a horse... Look, I actually sat in on the meeting last year when they picked the Cox Plate field, Haim, and there was a lot of discussion. Do we put Humidor in because of what he's done in the past, or do we go with Castle Vecchio? They went with Castle Vecchio, ran a second or third behind Bonecrusher, I'm trying to remember now, but now Humidor gets a third Cox Plate. I reckon they'll take it up, Henry, don't you?
Yeah, why wouldn't you off the back of that? But for all your Winkses and your Nature Strips and the Autumn Suns, I think this will go down as one of Chris Waller's greatest training performances, won't it? That's phenomenal.
Yep, it is. And what a ride. What a ride, Haim, eh?
Well, to Henry's point, though, Macca, I mean, Chris Waller is a masterful horseman. What we do know is he's so patient and he's kind, and he's got an 8-year-old back to win over 1,600 metres first up.
Look, and this is a remarkable animal, by the way. I mean, he came across from New Zealand and Darren Weir had him, and he had a lot of problems, this horse. He wouldn't go straight. They did a lot of work on him, and then he's had other trainers we know. And look, as I said, this is the only horse that has given a shiver up our spine with Winks and a Cox Plate, and that's saying everything. Now, he's probably not going to get back to that, but have a look at this. This is the acceleration. This is the will to win. This is the will to win for an 8-year-old horse who's been through a lot. He's had a lot of setbacks, and he refuses to yield. Surprise Baby was very strong late. Gee, I love that race.
It was fantastic,
one of the best
wasn't it?
Feehans we've seen for years.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's Frosty Lane. We'll hear from Damien on the other side of the break. There's still more racing to come from Rosehill, the final race at Moonee Valley, but we'll hear from Damien and what sort of feel Humidor gave him today. An 8-year-old wins a Feehan, and maybe, just maybe, he goes through to the Cox Plate. A second and a third already in his